is rising up.
It's that time, Dr. Angel.
It sure is.
You're there. I'm here. Tommy's in there. It must be time for Go
It
Yard.
is Thursday night.
Thursday night, 6 p.m., 6:06 p.m., and we are very glad to be on the air as we have been for almost 8 years. Always fun.
Always, always, always.
Always fun. And so, what's this show all about?
This show is all about hitting those home runs in life.
Yeah. All-Star Game, home runs.
Yes.
Mike Zunino, home run, All-Star Game. He's our catcher. I just didn't know if you knew.
Yes.
Okay. So the home runs in life, though, are the way we succeed in life, right?
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of times we have to go through hard times before we learn some lessons.
Oh, yes. I mean, life is a series of experiences, both positive and negative.
There you go. That's true. And you are Dr. Angel, PhD, licensed mental health counselor, and got your own practice, and you're doing very well.
Yes. We are. We're doing very well.
You are doing very well. It's been 2 years. Mm-hmm. Can't believe it.
I know, right?
I remember one night we were walking out of this station. You said, someday I want to have my own practice. And that was like 5 years ago. Mm-hmm. And I thought, oh, good for you, But at that point, you worked for a large company, and I don't know what you did, but you had to do with counseling. So, but look what's happened to you.
I know.
What God has done.
It's been amazing, and
Yeah.
our practice is thriving, and it's really been it's been a roller coaster, been a fun one.
It has. 727-501-6557 is the number for your practice. We're going to hear that on that elongated ad in a little while, right? In the middle of the show. It's very, very long. But that's when I take a nap.
Yes.
So but they can also go to drangelsdevelopment.org.
.com.
.com. I've made that mistake 2 weeks in a row, haven't
It's
I?
all good. It's Thursday night. Our brains get very
Thursday
tired.
Night. It's been a busy, busy week for all of us, I think. Yeah, it's been a lot going on. So I had 4 of my 14 grandkids at my house this morning, right? And those 4 range from 17 months to 7 years old, almost 8. And the top 2 are twins. So it was an interesting morning.
I bet you had so much fun.
Yes, I did. I do. I love it when they're there. I love it when I get to spend time with my grandkids. They're part of my circle of life.
Absolutely,
right?
they are. Yes.
They're my descendants. They don't act like me, though. They're crazier.
Oh, really? Is that your professional opinion?
You know some of them.
Yes,
so
I do.
Would you agree that they're crazier than I am?
Oh, I don't know. I think apples make applesauce.
Apples make applesauce. Okay, that's kind of scary. Okay, so circle of life. Why did we start that last week, and what is this all about?
Well, I think it's super important for us to kind of look at our circle of life. And when we're talking about that, we're really talking about the people we surround ourselves with, the people we kind of let into the inner dynamics of our life.
Sure.
They are also known as our support system.
Right.
And
yeah, but some of them aren't very supportive.
No, sometimes they're not. And that's why we're
going to talk about that
Take
tonight.
a look at it, because sometimes we're allowing people in that inner sanctum of our life that are
not
destructive, not supportive,
right.
hurtful, and we feel obligated to have them in because they might be family or long-term friendships or, I don't know, college roommate, whatever it is. We feel this obligation. But we really want to look at that quality of that circle of life, because the stronger our circle is, the more resilience we'll have to deal with whatever life brings at us.
Okay, that's a good intro. And so if you'd like to call in and comment or ask a question tonight, please do. The number's on this card right up here, 727-441-3000. And Tommy will patch you through. We like callers and their questions and their comments, don't we?
Yes, we do.
But this whole concept of a circle of life, you said a word that I find very interesting there. You slipped almost and said it was a support system.
I know.
But it should be.
It should be, but it's not always.
So what do we mean by a support system? Do you have to have a crisis to have a source support system?
No, a support system are people that we have in our life that provide support that to us and that we provide support to when they need it. And so they're people that are we can count on, that are true, that are trustworthy, that are honest, that, you know, back up their word, they follow through. Like, that's support. And so we might need a support, you know, some support maybe when we have, it doesn't be a big crisis, it could be just maybe a stressful time, or maybe we're giving them support through their stressful time, and definitely through our crises.
So support looks like what? Phone calls,
Support can look like a lot of stuff. So, but it's action oriented.
It's action oriented. Okay.
Your support your support people, your circle of life should not have a passive role. Now, they cannot be geographically close and still have an active role in support. So, yeah, it's phone calls. It could be cards and letters. It can be text messages and emails. It can be helping you pick up your kids, or dropping off a meal, or just listening to you as you're going through a difficult time. Whatever, you know, providing support.
Okay. So that is the ideal, right? In your circle of life, that you would have several people like that. And by the way, we have Facebook open. It's working this week. We had some issues last week. It's working, so you can put your questions or comments right there if you'd like. We'd love to field those. Okay, so when we have a strong support system, are we better able to handle crisis situations, perhaps?
And we're better able to handle life, period. And that includes the negative things that happen with our life. Because when we go through a time of crisis or a time of difficulty or a lot of stress, it squeezes on us, right? Like, so it uses all the resources we have, or a lot of our resources. So it depletes our resources, our time, energy, because we have to put time and energy into the feelings of this crisis, or managing it, or making decisions. And so having that support people can help keep you afloat with those things that now you can give extra energy into whatever this crisis is, and that's how it keeps us stronger.
So it really is a good thing to have a good support system. However, from your personal medical opinion, how many people go through life without really ever experiencing a strong support system?
I think a majority of people go through life
I think they
without
do too.
a strong support person. In fact, you know, it's funny because on my counseling intake session, that's one of the things I always ask: who are your support people in your life? And they might name a couple. Some people might name a whole handful, and then I'll hear
most people just name their dog, right?
But that person, we're not talking right now, or da da da. And I'm like, wait, that's not a support person. Then, like, these have to be people that are active and positive in your life.
I'm going to throw the word consistent to you. How important is consistency in your support people around you?
Well, sure. Because consistency, I think, is very important, because it lets us know that consistency within the people that are our support people, but also consistency with just the relationship in general of our support people.
Right.
So, like, people that we, you know, might be close with, but then we go, you know, 8 or 9 years without talking, aren't really going to be a great support system, because we don't have that consistency of relationship.
Exactly.
So, but also having people who their yes means yes, their no means no. When they say they're going to do something, they follow through. Like, that consistency is super important.
You mean you've known people in your life that they say they're going to do something and then they don't follow through?
Oh my goodness. Okay, so I'm going to tell you a story. So I have a dear friend who had a family member who had a very serious illness and was dying, and they were taking care of this family member. And so we got together and organized a meal train. So for like several weeks, and everyone volunteered and picked a day of what day, and we organized it through internet. So everyone got email reminders of their day and their meal, so that they would have dinners to be supportive for this family. And I can't tell you the number of people who signed up and committed to bringing a meal that never showed up.
Never did. Pretty common.
Yes.
You know, that's been my experience too, because as a pastor, I've seen so many people that have good intentions, and they will say the right things, but when it comes down to follow through, it's another thing.
Sure. You're right. The follow through, like, isn't there. And yeah, having a good intention is great, but if there isn't a follow through, then that's not support.
Right.
Because now this family who thought they had the meal didn't have a dinner that night, and we're scrambling to just figure out dinner while they have all this stress and chaos and other people flying in, and like, it was a lot.
And it's hurtful.
Very.
When you have your expectations dashed. So let's talk about what you don't want in the people around you. In other words, the characteristics that would be almost red flags of this person, I better not be putting them in my support system.
Exactly, in that circle of life, like, and the circle of life are the people that we let intimately involved in our life. They get to know some of those details of the difficulties, our feelings.
Or you might cry on their shoulder, quote unquote. Not necessarily cry on your shoulder, but show emotion. Right. And those things are very important aspects of a support system, but they're not necessarily easy to find in people.
And that's true. And so I would rather see people who have one or two quality people in their support system or their circle of life than having 10 or 15 that have these negative characteristics.
What about the 550 in your Facebook group?
Yeah, the 550 in your Facebook group, not support system, unless you're interacting with these people on some kind of consistent basis and outside of liking your post.
Oh, so that's not enough just to like your post. I'm teasing, but yes. Okay. Let's talk about the negative, because as I was driving here, I just started writing some things down on a piece of paper as I was driving about some bad characteristics or warning signs for, let's say somebody is in a crisis situation and someone says, well, who can you count on, or who can you ask to do this or that, right? Mm-hmm. Here's some characteristics that might be, what did that guy used to, it might be a redneck. These
Jeff
might,
Foxworthy, yes.
Yeah, Jeff Foxworthy. These may be a warning sign, a red flag, all right? The first one I wrote down as I was driving was negativity in a person.
Wow. So
I'm just throwing these at you. They're softballs. They're not baseballs.
The softball. It's all good, because negativity is definitely a characteristic that we do not want or need in a support person, a person in our inner circle of our life. Negative people are people who can find the problem and be discouraging in any situation. And so think about this. You're going through a stressful time or a crisis or whatever's happening. You already have intense emotions, and now you have this person, oh, well, now your life is over, or this is doomed, or like they're feeding more, they're adding to your stress. They're taking away your hope.
Or they come in and they say, boy, you look bad today.
Exactly.
Are you not feeling well?
Exactly. And so negativity is a drainer. It takes away our energy.
Here's one I've heard. I really wouldn't want to be you.
Mm-hmm. I have heard, I don't know how you do it. I wouldn't do what you're doing.
I wouldn't do what you're doing. Or, golly, your life sucks.
Yeah, or I don't know why you're even trying. It's not going to work anyway.
Right.
Like, these are things people not need to hear.
People say this stuff, though.
Constantly.
You've heard that from patients?
Oh, I've heard all kinds of and that negative energy is depleting and not supportive. It's the opposite of support.
Yeah. It does hurt a relationship. I mean, it definitely does.
Well, and it causes the person going through whatever it is they're going through to have more doubt, to have more fear, to have more anxiety.
Especially if they're going through a health crisis.
Right, to second guess themselves.
Right.
And so we're taking energy from somebody who's already has pressure on their energy. That's not help. That's not support.
No, it's not. The second one you came up with, I didn't know you were writing these down too. And so we kind of talked about for 1.5 minutes before the show. The person that is too needy. Like, I know you're hurting. I know you're going through a hard time, Angel, but what about me?
Exactly.
What about me? Have you even, thought about how this is affecting me?
Exactly.
Right?
Yes.
I'm not saying that.
I know you're not.
I'm just giving an example, right?
Mm-hmm. But you're right. That.
But I really feel that way. No, I don't. I'm sorry, I'm just giving you all the time.
Oh boy, we get a little silly by Thursday
yes,
night.
we do get silly. It's been 4 grandkids today.
Yeah, it's been a long week.
It's been a long week. Right.
But you're right. People who are too needy, people who they always reflect it back to, what do you know what this is doing to me, or how I'm feeling about this? And
spouses in particular tend to do this, don't you think? Don't you realize what your illness is doing to me? Yeah.
Or not even just what your struggle is doing to me. It may be that they want to dismiss your struggle because they feel like their struggle is more important or bigger or more significant.
Or they need more attention. They need you to go, oh, honey, are you okay? What's wrong with you? Oh, I'm so sorry that my illness is affecting you. I mean, that's what they want.
Sure.
To be babied about whatever the situation is.
And so a person who's already going through a difficult time does not have the extra resources now to have to help pick someone else up about whatever other difficult time is happening. If it's real, if it's the reaction to the original person's struggle, like that neediness is that drain. So like, it's like the sucker fish, like, it sticks to the side of the aquarium and like sucks out all the, like, that's what these people are like doing. They're like sticking to you and sucking out any life and energy you already have.
Well, and in an example of somebody that's going through a difficult divorce, let's say, or something like that, and your support person comes in and says, you know what, this is just never going to work out. I don't know why you're going to counseling. This is just not going to work because, both of you are this, blah, 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 blah. And so what they're doing is trying to cut off at the knees any kind of hope for that relationship.
Absolutely.
And a lot of times that's based on jealousy because they don't have a relationship that they want. You know what I mean? Did you follow any of that?
I did follow, and jealousy absolutely can fuel that. It can be fueled by a lot. Jealousy is definitely a powerful fuel to that negativity. And you're right, they're taking and sucking out any hope, any resolution, any reconciliation. Like, they're just taking it away. And so when we're going through a difficult time, like, hope is an important component to get us through that.
Absolutely. In all kinds of areas of our lives, we need hope.
Right. We have to believe that whatever we're facing, that we will be able to get through, and that we'll be able to have life good again at some level.
But when a person in your support group, quote unquote, your circle of life, is always thinking in terms of how your situation, whether it be a marital problem, an illness, or family problem, or whatever, how it's affecting them, how can they be a support group for you?
They can't. They're not.
Why did you say they were? I'm just giving you a hard time.
No, but we often put these people in our support system and our circle of life, and we have to look at that. Do I have people in that circle that are needy, that are constantly draining? Are they constantly turning around the issue, or dismissing what I'm feeling or thinking and maximizing their experience? And that's kind of what we're looking for when we're talking about that type of person.
Absolutely. And I just wrote down this word, too talkative. That's 2 words. Too talkative. Okay, so they come to be a support for you. Okay, I've heard these stories for years. Mm-hmm. People say, my mother-in-law came over. I am some people's mother-in-law, so I won't.
You are.
It's not me. So my mother-in-law came over and said on the phone she was going to come and strip the beds and clean the house. And I've been, just an example, and I've been sick, or I just gave birth to a baby, and that would be wonderful. And the problem is, she came over and she spent the day sitting down, drinking coffee, and telling me all her problems.
That's happened, and that's not
that
support.
Happens.
That does happen.
That does happen, and I know people who've gone through that kind of thing and expecting that all these promises, strip the beds, clean the floors, do all the stuff, do the laundry, is going to happen, and nothing happens because that support, quote unquote, person has come to just talk.
Yes, and have their need met instead of providing support. That kind of stuff happens all the time, and those are the kind of people that we cannot allow to be in that circle.
You put an X there?
I would definitely flag that out. It's taking what we already have and draining the little bit of resources we have.
Not good.
And we can't do that. And so when we have people, and we all kind of we know when we have people in our lives that are more needy in that regard, where they come over to even, let me, let's talk, let's meet for coffee and talk about what you're going through, and then they just turn it all. But my experience, the same kind of concept, like
turn it all around.
We can't. That's not supportive.
That's not a support system. Okay. So when I was first married, within a couple of years, my ex-husband became a physician, and we moved to this small town, right? And so we didn't know anybody. So we joined the country club and we started playing golf and whatever. But pretty soon we began to see that the people in that circle, the doctors, the lawyers, the quote unquote, those kinds of people, whatever you want to call them, were not people we wanted to hang out with.
And why not?
We went to church. We had a singing group. We were involved with things with God. These people that we would see at a party or at a country club event were shallow. I guess that's the only word I can think of. And it was just, we went here, it's that personal lifting themselves up. It was not sincere in any way. These were not people that I would say, I can't wait to be best friends with that couple. No, right?
Sure.
You know what I'm saying? I went through that. It was like, ugh.
Well, and I like to use the word shallow because those are,
shallow.
A shallowness. Like, they want to be there during the good times. They want to go on they'll come to, to your house and go on your boat, or they'll play golf with you, or they'll, do the parties and the get-togethers. But when there's a need, they're gone. They're gone. Scattered to the next fun thing and the next friend that doesn't have a problem. They just want the good.
Okay, so that leads me to this. I was thinking as I was driving. There are people that their whole point in life is to step up. This goes right along with that, and I didn't even think about it. Step up in the social circle of people, and so if they can use you, I'm friends with the new doctor in town and his wife and blah 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 blah, right? I mean,
Absolutely.
I went through this.
Yes.
I went through this, and we'd go to these parties, and I go, this is not fun.
It's not.
I mean, everybody's just, we just went to there, we just did this, we just bought this, we just, you know what? And I wasn't raised that way, being raised as a missionary's kid. So this was like, whoa, I don't like these people.
Yeah,
and that I would say that to my husband. I would go, these people, I have nothing in common with these people. I haven't even thought about that for years, because that was a long time ago. But it was real. Now I could play a round of golf with them because you didn't have to hear all their blah, blah. You were playing a game. But when it came to a cocktail party, which I hated, or anything like that, it was so fake. That's the word I'm looking for.
Fake, yeah.
It was fake. And it was like...
superficial.
Superficial. And it was just like... everybody trying to go up the ladder a little bit. Let me go up the next rung by knowing this new doctor and his wife.
This person and this executive or this CEO, or because if I socialize with this higher person, then I'll be seen higher too. And that's not a circle of life. That's not a support person in any capacity.
So if you're writing these down, we would call that person the person that is trying to impress people.
They are trying to impress people.
How good of a support system could they be?
That's not a support person, right? Because they're the ones that as soon as there is a problem or something unpleasant, they are scattered. They're gone. They're invisible. You don't see them. They have moved on to the next rung in their ladder.
And I mean, we have been enjoying talking so much that I didn't even realize what time it was, Tommy. Let's do this, and we'll be right back. Don't go anywhere. Go Yard with Mama Mac and Dr. Angel.
And informative radio for the Sunshine State.
Dr. Angel Falzoni specializes in a variety of therapeutic areas, including trauma, depression, anxiety, post-traumatic stress disorder, stress management, self-esteem, interpersonal relationships, ADHD, behavioral addictions, as well as spirituality issues. A Florida native, she holds multiple degrees, including a bachelor's in education and philosophy, a master's of arts in professional counseling and marriage and family therapy, and a PhD in psychology. Dr. Angel is also a Florida licensed mental health counselor. She has worked with youth and adolescents for 14 plus years and has worked extensively in women's mental health for the past 6 years. She has worked in agencies providing mental health services to family and youth at high risk. Dr. Angel is an accomplished psychotherapist who works with children, teens, adults, couples, and families. Dr. Angel has advanced training and experience in working with LGBTQ specific individuals and issues. Dr. Angel can help you. Just call for an appointment at 727-501-6557 or online at drangelsdevelopment.com. Dr. Angel Falzoni, support for individuals, couples, and families. 727-501-6557.
Prompt professional service is what you will receive when you allow Marcia McAllister of Charles Rittenberg Realty to help find that perfect home or list your home for sale. With over 23 years of experience in the Tampa Bay area, you will enjoy a smooth transaction from start to finish. Call Marcia today at 727-417-0707. Now is a great time to buy or sell a home. Call Marcia McAllister at 727-417-0707.
This is the Tan Talk Radio Network.
Isn't it?
Yeah. Did somebody write you or what? No.
No, they blocked the live video.
Oh, because of the song?
Yep.
Okay. All right. So, So we're talking tonight, and we're glad you're back with us. Second half of Go Yard. And we love doing the show all the time. It is so much fun.
It is.
It is. Almost 8 years doing this. We're talking about developing your circle of life, those support system people that you can really count on in life. Mm-hmm. And we've been talking about ones that you can't count on.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Why? Why are we going that angle?
We're going that angle because so many people have the people in their circle of life that they cannot count on. So we need to show what those qualities are of the people we do not want in that inner circle of life. It doesn't mean they can't be our friends and our acquaintances. It means they're not in our intimate support system structure.
Well, yeah, it just means that you can't count on them, right?
Right.
And so the problem is, unfortunately, that a lot of those people are the ones who will speak the loudest. You can count on me.
Yes.
Right? And the truth is, a lot of times they're not the ones.
They're not.
Because they don't follow through.
Do not follow through. A lot of false promises.
Yeah. Yeah. Let's talk about disrespect. And I want you to define that. Why would a person who is disrespectful to you be a bad person to have in your circle of life?
Well, someone who, when we're talking about disrespect, I'm meaning people who may talk down on us, may blame us for what we're going through, and in some way do something or react in a way that's negative and kind of hypercritical in a disrespectful way. So disrespect can come in lots of forms. It can be someone's tone of voice, connotation. They can sound holier than thou. That's disrespectful. And so when we have people that are doing that to us, That's not healthy, and that's not support.
Oh no! A lot of people don't. I think that respect means that they have to agree with you all the time.
No, respect
That is
does
not what
mean
that means.
But the "I told you so's," like,
oh yeah, the "I told you so." That's a giveaway right there.
well,
Didn't I
you're
tell you
only
that
going
was-
to this because you didn't listen to the advice I gave you.
You're right.
Like, that's disrespectful, and
That's disrespectful.
happens when respect happens when we are treating people as individuals with their own autonomy to make their own decisions, and we're giving them the respect of human that they deserve. So I'm sorry you're going through a tough time. Now, they might have contributed to their tough time, but we don't have to point that out. That's disrespectful. Unless they're seeking advice from us, we don't need to give them that information.
Right. So if they're saying, "What do you think I should have done differently?"
Right. Or how do you think this happened? That's
different. They've opened the door for communication,
But
right?
most of the time it comes in the form of talking down, blaming you. I told you so. This is what happens when you don't take my advice, or you deserve what you get, or like, that's disrespectful.
People really do talk to each other like that.
Oh my gosh, all the time. Yes.
You hear so much in the counseling room.
I sure
don't you?
do.
And it does a lot of that come from family.
Family can be some of
Some of the worst.
some of the worst culprits. And and I know we talked about this a few weeks ago in one of our shows, but it's that, I think, that feeling of obligation that people have to their family.
Yeah.
And not only do we feel obligated to put them in the inner parts of our life.
Right.
And not all family.
We talk too much. Some people talk too much.
Yeah, we tell. It's funny because that's one of the things I work on to teach people is, like, we need to filter what information we're given to people.
Why?
Because of these negative characteristics.
Okay. But a lot of people feel that, oh, well, it's my mother, or it's my best friend, or it's that, person I grew up with from elementary school or whatever. So I can just tell them anything. The problem is, unless you really know them and their character, which is what we're talking about tonight, they should have to earn that right to be a part of your circle of life.
Sure, we earn that part to be a part of
And what
someone's
does that
circle.
mean
And
when
that
they
means
earn
we
it?
earn it over time. We earn it by showing the healthy and positive characteristics that, we're trustworthy, that our word means what it means, that we're going to follow through, that we care, that we're going to, we're respectful. And so that's how we earn that place. And just because someone's earned it doesn't mean that that's it. They're always in the circle. Like, people change.
Yeah, they change. And a lot of times they can present a certain way for a period of time. And I guess this goes to the next one I wanted to talk about. You brought it up earlier, greed. And what are they getting out of that relationship? Are they getting attention at work? Oh, I'm having to do this and this and this for my friend. It's just so hard. Are they getting attention in the family because, they loan somebody money? I mean, there's all kinds of things, all kinds of examples.
Sure, and and a lot of times there is a greed motivator.
Yeah.
For people that are wanting to be in someone's intimate parts of their life. If it's they get to look better in front of their social group, their church group. I can tell you, a while ago there was a whole church group that this one congregation decided that a lot of them were going to foster children because, we're going to, but it became a greed thing. It became, I look more important and higher standing in my church because now I have a foster child. I have a less privileged person.
Really?
And it wasn't about really wanting to help improve someone else's life. It became a social status.
Ooh, really?
And so, yes. And so sometimes people are doing that. Like, it makes them feel better about maybe the wrong things or they have in their life so that they can kind of feel better about who they are when I paid that person's mortgage bill, or I bought all those people Christmas gifts that couldn't have a Christmas meal, or whatever it is. They're gaining something from that sometimes.
So if you do these kinds of nice things, but you have to tell 59 people or put it on Facebook,
Put it on social media. Oh
look
my gosh,
what
that
I
is
did.
like that frustrates me more than anything.
How come?
And they post it on. They're looking for all the accolades. They're looking for the you're such a great person. We're so lucky you're in our life, and you're so generous. That's not why we are support. In fact, I think it's kind of, I feel personally, so I'm going to preface it that way, like, I think it's so demeaning to do that. Like if someone needs, that's not support. If I need support and maybe I need to find, I don't want someone who can help me with something, putting it all over social media. First of all, I don't want my business known out across social media that I needed that help. That feels,
Right.
Can be embarrassing or
Yep.
whatever. And second of all, if you're doing it just to make you feel better, then please don't do it.
Yeah, please don't do it. So that goes back to motive, don't you think? And I think a lot of times we need to look very closely at the motive of our circle of friends that are around us. I mean, because, and a lot of times it's not real apparent at first.
No, and it can be tricky to find. And that is why
It doesn't work when you just say, what's your motive for
not
helping
at all.
me? That
But
doesn't
here's the
work.
thing.
Okay.
That is why our circle of life, those relationships take time to build, because motive comes through with time.
Yes. Yes,
One
it
of those
does.
things
I'm writing that down.
That shows as we go through, you're going to see how are they when they help other people? Or do they follow through with the help they say they're going to give? Are they telling everybody about the help that they're giving? Like, those are things we should be looking at, because they're going to do it to you too.
Yeah, they are. And it should be a telling thing if they say, "Oh, you don't believe what I did for so and so, and I did this for so and so," right?
Yes.
If they're coming to you and saying, and they're building themselves up for what they've done, red flag.
Huge red flag. And so we need to look at that, because that, first of all, isn't help. It's not support. I mean, it may look like it on the surface because, yeah, maybe they helped us with an electric bill or brought groceries or picked our kids up from school or took us to a doctor's appointment or whatever it is we needed. But that's not support in the way that, first of all, your business is being told to people that you may not want your business told to.
Yeah, which is what usually happens with that stuff.
Because they need the attaboy, the accolades for what they're doing. They're sharing that around. That's not
Because
okay.
they want to be congratulated and told, "Oh, you are amazing." Being in real estate, and we had a big office at different times, it's interesting to see personalities come out in the workplace. You know, who people surround themselves with, and which is what this show's all about, Circle of Life. Are they wanting to surround themselves with the most popular person, the sexiest, the one who drives this fancy car, or the one that has the gorgeous boyfriend, or go with that?
That is really important to see, like, who are the people we want in our life, who they surround themselves with, because that can be very, very telling of who that person is.
I think it can tell a lot, you know?
Sure.
Let's go to the next concept, the one that in your life that you figure out finally, maybe not originally, that you find out they're very judgmental of you, and they're critical, and they're stabbing you in the back, but you didn't know it
Right.
till on down the road.
Yeah. These are people you do not want in your circle of life. You do not need hypercritical, judgmental, or people who are...
Hypercritical, judgmental. Hypercritical means very critical.
Yeah, very critical. So they are the kind of people that are picking apart all your decisions and actions and behaviors and feelings and criticizing you on it.
Right.
And deciding your value based on how you're responding or what's happening.
People that you let in your home. Let's talk about that.
Wow. Yeah. So when you let them in their home, there's a lot of these judgmental, hypercritical people. Sometimes when we let them in our home, they are looking at how clean your house is, if it's organized, if the dishes, all that. They're looking at all
How you discipline your children.
right. What pictures you have hung on your walls, what decorations you use in your rooms and bathrooms. They are really looking at those things, and they may not say anything to you.
Oh, no. They usually don't.
No.
They're going to go and tell 59 of their closest friends.
That's exactly what they're going to do. And make you look bad in whatever way that they decided you're doing something wrong, instead of coming into someone's house and maybe they have dishes in the sink, or maybe they have, and thinking, wow, they have life happening, right? Like we don't live in I don't have a maid that comes and cleans my house every day, and I don't live in the Brady Bunch era where it was just always done, right?
Right.
That's not life. Like, we have life, and when the more overwhelmed we are, sometimes the more it shows in our house.
Oh, yeah. Sure it does.
Because
we can't get to everything.
We can't do it all, and we're
especially
buried.
People that are very busy with multiple jobs or multiple children or
Sure.
family responsibilities with an elder that they're having to take care of, or a family member who's ill. All of that can show up in your home, right?
It sure can.
With how it looks and how much has been done that day or not done.
And not only that, they may even criticize your real need for help. So there's a situation that I knew a few years ago where someone was having a family member go through a very major surgery, and they had small children, and so they were taking care of their spouse who went through a major surgery, and their social group put together a meal train, and one of the people came over to drop off the meal and came in the house to drop it off and decided this house was really nice. They had nice furniture and nice things. Why are they accepting all this charity from people that was wrong? And they were judging that instead
Judgmental.
of, I signed up to provide a meal to help a family out that had a need happening.
So here, that is translating, they have the resources, they should just go buy it.
They should just do it for themselves.
Right. Why bother me with that, right? Which means that the person who brought the meal wasn't sincerely wanting to help.
Exactly.
And it was my experience with some of those meal train things and whatever, which are a good idea. A lot of times people did want to just see inside someone's house.
It really kind of was. I would hear some
This
of that
is
in the
years
back.
ago,
Yes.
but, don't you think? I mean, and then they'd be critical, right? That is not a person for your circle of life.
That is not a circle for your personal life. We can't have these judgmental, critical people. When we're going through a challenge, a difficulty, a huge stressor, people who are judging us aren't helping us at all. In fact, we feel worse. We feel more defeated. We start to blame when we're getting judged, we start judging ourselves then.
Yeah.
Then you have embarrassment that happens.
Yeah. And gossip. People going behind your back and talking about, well, I don't think she's that sick. I don't think she really needs that help. Whatever. Mm-hmm. Right. Wow.
I mean, I've literally heard people who had to show medical reports to prove that they had a disorder.
Seriously.
Because people decided they didn't really need the help. And I'm like, why did you do that? That's not a person you want help from. You don't have to defend your need for help. And if you do, that's not a person to put in your circle.
That is not, no. Why we're doing this is because it's so important to realize that our relationships in life are extremely important.
Yes.
I'm preaching on this Sunday morning about, not like what we've been talking about tonight, but how important these people around us, because they will be in heaven with us if they have been those kinds of good people, right?
Right.
The problem is, and we're talking about it here, a very realistic counseling approach, a life coaching approach, very few people are genuine. You've got to sort through to find the genuine. You know what I mean?
Yes.
The true, the truth telling, the honest, the person who really does care about you and what's going on in your life, right?
Sure, you're right.
They're hard to find.
There's a lot of people who are disingenuous. They're not authentic. They have an ulterior motive, or they're just, there's something going on there that's not healthy like that. And so there can be a lot of kind of weeding through going through the weeds to kind of find. So when we find someone who
that's where I wanted to go.
Valuable for
talk about that
in our circle, then we hang on to that. Like that's something we should value, that relationship.
And if it's really somebody who's going to be a support system for you, let's go back to that term, they're going to stick with you through thick and thin.
Good and bad, thick and thin. Right.
They are really going to be that person.
Right. So the person who is a healthy person to have in your circle of life and your support system, when they walk in your house and they see your dishes are dirty or your dust is everywhere or the laundry's piled up, they get in there and start helping you. What can I do to help you?
Right. Exactly.
Can I wash your dishes?
How hard is that to find?
That's hard.
Yeah. because people have their own lives, are busy and whatever, and so, but yeah. So why all these things that we've talked about tonight, all these negative things, the bad characteristics, what do you do if that's who's in your circle of life, all this we've been talking about tonight? What do you do about that?
Well, you have to evaluate that whole circle. And when you start seeing people, especially people who have multiple of these qualities and they're in your circle, you really need to evaluate, should they be in my circle? I'm going to say no, they should not be in that close, intimate support
Would you tell
part
that
of your life. Yes,
to
I
your
would say that.
your patients?
Absolutely, I would. If we start, another, one that we didn't even highlight is the this for that kind of person. They'll come and do things
Oh,
for you,
this
but
for
they're
that.
keeping score, quid pro quo, right? They're keeping score so that you
pro
can owe them
quo.
at a later day and time.
This for that, yes.
That's not somebody you need in your circle.
No.
Not to mean that we're not going to be there to support them, but I don't
if somebody's
owe you and I'm
keeping
not
score,
obligated to. Right.
If they're keeping score, then that's not ever going to turn out good.
Oh, I've seen that. Oh, well, I drove I picked your kid up for school that whole month while your husband was recovering from surgery. So I need you to da-da-da-da for me for the next 2 months.
Because when they keep score, it's going to come back to get you.
It is. In fact, I know people who really refuse to allow anyone to help them because they don't want to owe them. Because they've been burned. And we can't live in an island.
No, but you can't live in an island. You can't, because people need each other. They do. We need to be a support system for others. Sometimes there's limitations.
Yeah, absolutely. A lot of times there are limitations.
There's only so much I can do as far as my grandkids. But when I do get a chance to, help and be with them, that's great. I love it. But I work 3 jobs. So It's really not something I can do on a daily basis, right?
Right.
But I communicate that to my kids. I would do more, but I have this, and this. I'm still working at my age. I'm not sitting around leaving little grandma in the
Of course
wheelchair.
you're still working. You're only in your 40s
That's right. Tell me she's got it right. She's got it right. And but I mean, people that get to my age and have this huge number of grandkids, are usually figured. Oh, well, they're retired or they've got
Yeah, I mean, and there are limitations. We all have time, energy, financial, there's all kinds of limitations that we have.
But why not talk about those? I mean, why not be honest? If somebody says, hey, can you help me do this for the next 3 months? I need you to pick up my kids at school. I need you to run them here. I need you to run them there. If you can't do it, don't say you can and then not do it. That's back to your example at the beginning of the show.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I might not be able to do it for 3 months, but hey, I could do it on Mondays for you.
Right. And then follow through.
And then do it.
Right. And because I know people that will say yes just because they want everybody to feel good about them, right?
Yes.
Which is kind of where we started this discussion.
It really is where we started.
We just kind of came all the way circle.
But they will say yes to whatever, and
then they want you to go tell everybody, or you hear in your little group, I'm doing this for so and so. What are you doing for her?
Oh, I exactly hear those kinds of stories all the time, and people know exactly what help you've been given by who, and then they decide how much you should still need. I've seen people get very hypercritical, even evaluating giving help, and that's not a support system. Support systems, I trust you, I value you, and I want to do what I can with the resources I have to help you if I can when you need it.
Right.
And
that's a true support system.
That's support.
I think we need to talk more about the true support
maybe
next week, because I think a lot of people have gotten the idea that the things we've talked about tonight is just normal. It's just part of life. This is what friendship is. And it's not.
No.
That's really the opposite.
It's what it's become, though. I have to tell you, it's funny. The more I look at our younger generation, they really have no concept of true friendship.
Right. No.
They really do not have that. And they accept people who will lie to them and tell their business to other people and gossip about them and whatever, they accept that as friendship because they don't know that's not okay.
We should make a note of that, don't you think? And talk.
Yes, we
start
should.
there next week with with this generation. What do you want to call them?
Well,
Huh?
I think it's between our Gen X's and our millennials are really struggling with that, understanding that true concept. People who don't want to go out of their way for someone else
Yeah. Yeah.
in any capacity. And that's not what friendship is. Yeah, sometimes it's not convenient, but that's support. That's what we do for each other.
Wow. I think we will go on with this discussion next week. Let's do that.
Sounds like a plan.
Wow. Okay, we got a couple minutes. Can you sum up what we've talked about tonight, Dr. Angel?
Well, I want to sum up that look at your circle. Identify who is really, truly in my circle. Who are the people I rely on when I need help? Who do I call when great things are happening? Who do I want to tell? Like, that's usually how we know where our circle is. The people we want to share the really good and the people we can share the difficults with.
Right.
And then, do they have these qualities? And if they do, is this something that maybe we can talk about? Like, when you
These
commit,
negative qualities.
it's really difficult for me if you commit to do something and you don't follow through, because then I'm in a bind. Maybe they don't realize that's what they're doing, and we can talk about it.
And
Or-
maybe if you approach them like that, they disappear for 5 months.
and they might be like, well, never mind, I'm gone. Or, when I would appreciate it if, we could keep this confidential. Like, sometimes people just don't realize what they're doing too. So I'm not saying throw them all out to the curb. Maybe we have a discussion about it, but we need to evaluate, should they be there?
That's exactly right. We have a lot more to discuss on your circle of life. And this has been Dr. Angel. Wait, is that who you are?
I am Dr. Angel.
That is who you are. And me, Mama Mac, and this is Go Yard, and we've loved being here with you tonight. And join us next week. Tell a friend about the show. God bless you. See you soon.
Good night.